episode 390. I'm Janine and I welcome you to my podcast. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. Maybe it's explainable, maybe not. Most often, there are 100 reasons and we spend precious time trying to figure out which one applies. We do this so we can get closure and feel better about it all. We don't like to fail. We don't easily admit mistakes. And we have expectations of how things should work. We have this deep-seated desire for harmony, for everything to be as it always was, or just to work a certain way. But sometimes it just doesn't work out, even when it seems close to perfect. Everything is there, everything should work, but it just doesn't. Instead of hanging on unhappily, or trying the same thing over and over again, racking your brains and trying to make sense of it, feeling sad, frustrated, disappointed, or anxious. Here is a better alternative. Take ownership and move on. These two go together, but in reality, they often don't. We do one thing, but not the other. And then we wonder why we struggle with the relationships in our life. Many people don't take ownership. They just move on. Never learning a thing from the situation, never thinking about it and looking at the role they played. And they keep running into a similar one not far away. Because taking responsibility teaches, and without the required lesson, we remain ignorant. If you move on quickly, when things don't work out, by blaming everyone or everything else, running away from the situation, disconnecting and disappearing, then you're missing an important step. You need to go back and reflect. We all have a role in the things that don't work out, even if we didn't do anything but open the door to them. We can always learn. Life teaches us and does so especially when we think we did everything right. Reflection requires a brutal honesty with yourself, not by beating yourself up and considering yourself a failure, but with the approach to make yourself a better person. It's best initiated if you look for examples where something similar happened before, and then taking the ownership to change the pattern. Clarity is important before we can move on. We need to know what to do better and differently next time. When we actually do take responsibility, when we see our mistakes, even decide on a different path forward, we then often try to pick up the pieces and try to make them work. We go back to what we know wasn't working, forcing it to work yet again. Apologizing, insisting, trying a different angle, but basically doing the same thing again. Taking ownership doesn't mean to try harder. While we have come to realize where we messed up, we cannot change what happened. We can only make it right the next time, in another circumstance, and right from the start. We need to respect the flow of events, and we need to move on. We take the lesson, and we thank the person or situation that taught us, and then we let go. We set free. We begin to work on ourselves. It's that difficult inner work we all shy away from, that requires us to sit with the mistake or the wrong decision, and to let it guide us to a better and wiser self. Not by distracting or numbing ourselves, or by ignoring it, but by facing it. This is what ownership is. Taking responsibility and holding yourself accountable for your part in the situation that isn't working out. It's not about trying to change the situation. It's about changing yourself. Taking ownership requires a hard look at yourself, admitting mistakes and old patterns, seeing where you contributed in unproductive ways. Then acknowledging them and internalizing them so you can avoid them next time and do them differently. And then letting go. Taking distance, removing yourself, and allowing things to be. For some people, the inner work is hard. They prefer to blame everything on things outside of their control. For others, letting go is harder. They analyze themselves day in and day out, but are unable to end things and move on. I have found that When I do both, I take responsibility, which often results in a genuine apology and a better demeanor towards the person or situation, and then let go of controlling or manipulating the outcome in any way. That is when the events are finally allowed to flow freely. And that is also when they somehow arrange themselves to work out in a way that is best for everyone. I wish you that you can do both when you run into situations where you know that they are just not working out. Much love, my friends.